Good everyone, welcome to this video. Today we have a premium review of the M4A5 Ram II. This is one of the, I think this is one of the few only Canadian tanks in the game, other than the 5th CAD, I'm not sure what it actually means, for the Americans as well. Now of course, this is one vehicle that a lot of people say people should get, and this is one that I was definitely looking forward to getting, but should you really buy this thing? Well, let's take a look and see. So the M4A5 is actually based off the M3 Lee, if you can tell by the drive wheels, the front part of the transmission housing. And it's definitely one vehicle that is definitely quite unique when it comes to the premium lineup in the US tanks. Now, as for the vehicle's performance, it has the same engine as the M3 Lee. It has... Actually, it's a little bit slower to accelerate, it feels like. But other than that, it drives pretty much how you'd expect it to. The vehicle's armour, though, is really where we need to talk about this thing. Because, I don't know about you, but this thing is very 50-50, at least in my opinion. So if we take a look at the armour, we have 50mm on the transmission housing, with some parts being 101, which they do overlap. So if someone poor sod hits there, then it's never going to pen. We then have the upper plate, which is very strong, as you can tell, 88.9mm. This is pretty strong and it has quite a few curves, but of course there are weak spots. The driver's hatch is a weak spot. The MG port is not a weak spot, however, so if you actually angle towards your opponent, you can of course strengthen the armor this way. However, your driver's port is still very easy to penetrate, and you do start to even out this plate here if I just turn off the external armor. So anything that's at least German 75mm can punch through this. Same with the lower side, although at distance this can obviously interrupt stuff with the tracks and everything like that. The turret armor is really where it gets interesting though, with 76.2 around the sides and a double layer here of 69.85 and 38.1. This turret is pretty strong, although if people know where to shoot it, it's very easy to penetrate the turret. Moving on to the side of the vehicle, we have 38.1mm, with the sides of the hull being between 63 and 50mm, all the way up to 76.2 on the curved front. The side of the turret is 76.2, with the rear being 69.85, and the rear being 63.5. The rear of the hull is 38.1, with some parts overlapping. The roof armor is actually quite strong, so you're not going to have to worry about anything in terms of aircraft. That's for sure. So the armor is not too bad. But why am I saying that the armor is very finicky? This is because it really depends on the player and the enemy tank that you meet. You could easily be penned through your driver's hatch, as I said. The turret front isn't immune to everything. It's one of those vehicles that is very opponent reliant, if that's the word I would use here. And that's even before we get into the gun, which I have a couple of problems with this gun, and it's unlike any other 6-pounder that I've used, even though it's the same model, but you know. The problem is with this vehicle is a lot of players know how to beat this thing, and that's not the vehicle's fault. But combine that in with the gun and the way it behaves, it does make this thing a little bit more annoying to use. So for the price of $1150G, do I think this vehicle is worth picking up? I'm going to have to say no, at least at full price. On a discount, it will do somewhat fine, but I just can't really recommend this thing, at least off of personal experience. Now, I'm not saying the tank is bad, it's actually pretty okay in its performance, but as I'm going to discuss with the gun in a moment, that's really what lets it down. So let's go into the gun now that we're talking about it. And also, fun little fact, this vehicle is one of the few low-tier vehicles with access to ESS, which comes out the back. The other vehicle that is near this BR at least is the PT-76B, and that can also do that. But anyway, the Shot Mark 9 is the shell that you're going to want to main. It has 122mm of pen at 10 meters, which is more than enough for most vehicles at this BR. And at distance, it actually holds its penetration decently well. You also get access to 3 30 caliber machine guns. One is coaxial, one is in that little machine gun turret we mentioned, and one is on the roof of the tank. The one on the roof has decent elevation for shooting at aircraft, but it is a 30 cal, so just bear that in mind. The main issue with the gun is its accuracy. Even with it being a premium tank and having a very skilled crew, this vehicle still does have problems with its accuracy at long distance. The shell dispersion is not very good, and to be brutally honest, it's one of the worst 6-pounder dispersions I've ever seen. And that's extremely odd because the 6-pounder was known for pretty decent accuracy. And sure, it did obviously lose out in terms of penetration over range compared to 75mm guns. It's just not ideal when you're shooting at targets that you are. So if I don't recommend this tank, what should you pick up? Well, if it ever comes onto sale again, definitely get yourself the Canadian Stuart. But this is something that doesn't really come around often. However, if you do want something that can definitely do some work, although you're going to have to watch the up tiers for this one, you're definitely going to want to pick up the T14. This is one that really surprised me because I didn't used to like this tank. But whilst it does have weak spots, it's not as big as the M4A5 in terms of that. The players that tend to meet this thing just think it's a Sherman and try and lol pen the front plate, which Panthers can do, obviously, and also Tigers. But at its own tier, this tank is very good, and with it being priced at, I believe, 1600 Golden Eagles, it's not all that much more expensive than the M4A5, and whilst it doesn't get as big of a lineup, because my personal suggestion for a lineup with the T14 would be the M4A1, the M42 Duster, and that's pretty much all you're going to get out of that unless you want to up tier the M4A2. The main issue with the M4A5 is whilst it does have a very consistent and good lineup, such as the M4, the M24, and for your SPAA, the M16, and for your tank destroyer, the 3-inch gun motor carriage M10, the problem is with the Ram is, as I said, its armor is very finicky, and the gun just isn't accurate enough for long distance shooting, which in close-in matches, it's not going to matter too much. But personally, I would actually get the T14 over the M4A5. It disappoints me to say that, because I was looking forward to getting my hands on this thing. But at the end of the day, that's just my personal opinion. You can obviously disagree if you think so. But anyway, I'm going to hand you over to the gameplay now. It's just me in this battle with the M4A5. It was actually my first drive out in the M4A5. And you're going to see what I mean by finicky armor, and you're also going to see me make a couple of player mistakes, I should say, which I do learn, obviously, over the time of playing this vehicle. But even if you do angle it to this side, as I said, the driver's hatch is still a weak spot, so just consider that. But anyway, I'll see you all on the next one. Let's drop that RD. Right, nice and gentle down the rocks. There we go. At least this thing's suspension is pretty alright. I can already hear something up on my right. Sounds like a Panzer. There you are. Driver and loader. I don't know why I decided to shoot the rock, but whatever. This is the only problem. When they dump smoke, you can't see shit because the new graphics for smoke is also shit. Being hit from the left, that's not good. Luckily, this thing's side armor is actually pretty good. Right, there's a tank right there on the corner. Oh, he's already dead. Got you, got it, pal. Where you gonna go? Bye-bye. Make sure that gearbox is out. Bye-bye. Bounces 6-pounder pretty easily. The armor's pretty good, but it does have its weak spots. The only problem is I normally would set up position to shoot from around about here, but obviously they've got the right spawn this game. Oh, hello, there's something there. It is a Panzer IV-H. Now, the turret armor is good, but I don't trust it against a Panzer. Too slow, son. Horizontal turret drive. I want to nail that transmission next. That's the ticket. Back up just a little bit. That's the gunner. And that's the loader. Hello. Where did you go through? Did you seriously gunmantle at me? I need angle. I don't know how he went through the armor, but I think he gunmantled at me. Good night. No, I don't see a hole. Unless he seriously went through the top of the mantler, in which case I'm surprised that went through. That's the last place I shoot on a ram. Oh, hello. I smell a revenge bomb headed my way. I need to move. I say that and I just fucking mount a rock. Being dinged from above. You can definitely tell it's a revenge kill coming my way. Where's that second half track? There you are. It's been dinged from the front. That's a Panzer IV. I'm not going to be able to reload in time. I'll pull forward just a little bit, which should be okay here. Problem is my reload's not going to help me here. Yeah. 7 kills, 1 assist. Not bad for a first spawn. We've got way too many spawn points, so we will spawn a second tank. That wasn't bad at all. That was not bad at all. Certainly goes to show what this thing can do. Its armor won't always save you. I think he went through the transmission area. But the armor is really, really good. But if they know where to aim, it's kind of paper. Well, I've been able to use this vehicle's decent mobility to get back into position. There's something to my left, there's also something to my right. Yeah, Panzer IV to my right. Hello. I'm surprised I didn't take out the driver. Yeah, your complete turret driver's out there, pal. That's why you couldn't shoot me. Well, get your gun on me. Poor sod would have had to have rotated the entire tank. Alright, I might need my HE here. That's why I brought some. Like I did in the first spawn. You typically want to carry about 5 of these. Because you don't get... like, you don't get a big HE charge, but it's enough. The AP just did that, which is alright, but, you know. What's waiting around door number 1? That was a terrible attempt at humour, Joe. You already dead? Okay, no, you jade out the tank. Well, I think that's it. Not a bad little run, that's for sure. Hello, teammate. I'll just check to see if there's anything left, but no, that is it. You dare scratch my paint? How dare you, rude little boy. But yeah, this thing can certainly do some work. I mean, it's a little expensive, but, you know, I mean, it's definitely worth the price. Although, having said that, I don't know, I mean, would I pay 1300G for this? Probably not. But if you can get a little bit of a discount, or do what I did and got this thing on half price on the November sale, yeah, this thing will definitely do some work.